Giga Chad snake oil salesman teaching disaffected youths how to be a man. People will laugh, and when I said this, but like this, the same phenomenon that happened to me is what is happening right now with Putin and Russia, for right or wrong, better or worse, is the same open source, crowdsourced swarm.
Again, I go back to that Beirut explosion. Do you remember that when that happened?
Which one?
It was 2019. It was that one. Okay. A bunch of damage, just phenomenal thing to watch. And to make a metaphor for your case, like there was the explosion. There's a lot of very intense material that just grabbed attention to it. Phenomenal. Like sorry to say, phenomenal. Pow. We had to humiliate each other to make sure that certain behaviors did not occur to continue our survival. Really, the humiliations between the people that you directly affected, you and the people you directly affected, and then you and yourself and who you are.
Right. Man, there's a lot to address there. One, do I regret some of my actions in the past? Yes. Am I ashamed of any of them? No. So like I was never feeling any personal humiliation about what I had done or anything. Nothing. It may have brought damage to some people. I don't know any specific instances, but it may have. There were a number of people in my network that I reached out to, and I was like, look, I'm sorry that all this is happening. Because I really was. Like, I am sorry that happened. I have regret about that. I ended up in that space unprepared for stardom, I guess, that I never really was seeking. It just kind of happened. And looking back on it, I wish that I had a little bit more public relations training, or just thinking about it and understanding the different stage that I was on.
Yeah.
What I should or shouldn't have done differently. Yes, I know there are a lot of things I wish I didn't do. But then again, were the things that I shouldn't have done the ones that shortened that distance? And, maybe I should have bailed off the Tim Pool show once it was getting so big, but I didn't know. And again, Lydia, just my friend. Ian, just my friend. Tim, just my friend.
They're good people.
I've known Tim for many years, going all the way back to 2016.
I am here in Washington, D.C. at A Night for Freedom, and sitting with me is Jack Murphy.
That's why we do these things, just to show the world and to show each other that there's a community. There's millions of you, actually. If you look in terms of the numbers, like there are millions. It's just about finding the community.
This is a beautiful, beautiful room to be in tonight. What are we fighting for? Freedom! We actually got better at stuff. We got better at arguments. We got better at logic. We got better at this. You shut down our event, we get a new place. You shut that down, we get a new place. They can't do that.
That's your title. Actually, let me start over. That's not your real name, though, right? No. But I should call you that. Yeah, that's where we're going.
2 hours later.
I just miss being able to party, drinking and socializing, experimenting with all kinds of different things. Well, that's what being young is all about. Once you have a family and a career, your experimenting days are over. But tonight is the exception. That's why I'm gonna smoke this cigar. Only because I've never smoked before. Good idea. What haven't you tried that you've always wanted to try? Huh. I don't know. Maybe I'll drink a few more beers and see where the party takes me. Yeah! Was that your leg? Huh? Oh, you mean this? Yeah. Yeah, that was me. That's the one thing I've always thought of experimenting with. A threesome. With 2 girls or 2 guys? Well, 2 girls, of course. I mean, with another guy, that'd be... You never had a homosexual fantasy?
I'm all flexible, bud. Flexible. I could never be in love with a guy, but I've definitely fucked him. Yeah. Ooh. I've watched. It's hot.
Well, I never really wanted to experiment with anything too crazy. Maybe just, I don't know, masturbate in front of another guy.
Oh yeah, lots of dudes and stuff like that.
Yeah, well, that's not really gay, is it? No, I don't think so. Well, it is a night for experimenting. It sure is. Okay, I'll start.
Okay, you gotta decide. You gotta separate between what did I put out into the universe, what was I intending to do, and what was in the forethought of my thinking. What happened, and I wasn't expecting, was that I was the first podcast guest on Tim Pool's IRL, like his nighttime show. It was the very first guest he ever had, and that was back in 2019. And he just kept saying, "Hey, you want to come back? Sure, I'll come back." And as I kept going back, his show just exploded, right? It just went from being Tim Pool, the guy who talks about the news having a podcast he's trying out at night, to being Tim Pool being bigger than CNN. But like, I just didn't know that I went from just like hanging out with my friend Tim at his house, doing a show that like 20,000 people or 30,000 people are watching, to being on primetime television where, you know, I get recognized walking down the street in any city that I go to. That was all unintentional. Right. So we didn't go on this show to get rich and famous. Tim didn't pay me anything, which is fine. It was great. I never asked for it. He never offered. It was fine.
People, let me tell you about my best friend. He's a warm-hearted person who loved me till the end. People, let me tell you about my best friend. He's a one-boy cuddly toy, my up, my down, my fighting.
All these events, all this work, all these connections that I made, all these relationships that I poured a lot of energy into. And in one moment, you know, a lot of those bridges just went up in smoke, man. Oof. I think that I'm an interesting example of how short it can be. Keep it afloat at all costs.
Yeah.